ज्योति स्टेनो टाइपिंग कॉलेज में आप सभी का स्वागत है बच्चों। ये मैराथन क्लास है। मैराथन क्लास जब शुरू होती है तब ये मान लो कि जैसे मैराथन की 50 क्लासें होने के बाद कोई भी विद्यार्थी जो इन क्लासों को लिखता है वो कोई भी टेस्ट को क्लियर कर सकता है। तो मैराथन क्लास के 2-3 नियम रहते हैं। ये साउंड बेस्ड सिस्टम है, तो इसमें जितना पास आओगे उतना अच्छा रहेगा, यानी कि जो जितने पीछे बैठे हो वो आगे आ जाएं। प्रांचल यहाँ जा, अंकित यहाँ बैठ जा, 2 यहाँ बैठ जाओ, यहाँ अरे अरे चलो वहाँ भी चल जाएगा। 2 यहाँ आ जाओ, यहाँ कुर्सियाँ ले आओ ना, इस तरफ ले जाओ कुर्सियाँ। लड़कियों के पास कुर्सी डालने से आप लड़की नहीं बन जाओगे। हाँ तो बैठो, कैमरे में तेरा सिर देखिए। प्रांचल यहाँ आ जाओ, ये देखो सीट है यहाँ, ठीक है। अंकित यहाँ आ जा, वो किधर है, खड़ा हो। आशीष इसको परे कर, वहाँ बैठ यहाँ। ये जो टेस्ट देना है ये इसमें नहीं देना है, ये उनमें देना है, यानी कि बदलिए। आप टेस्ट दे रहे हो, कोई मजाक थोड़ी कर रहे हो। अपनी कॉपी को रेडी कर लीजिए। हाँ ले लो, कोई मनाही नहीं किसी भी चीज की। इसको उठाओ यहाँ से, इसको मेरे को दे दो। मैराथन के हिसाब से ही जैसे पेजों को फोल्ड वगैरह भी कर लें, क्योंकि पेज जो है ज़्यादा लगेंगे। अगर फोल्ड करने नहीं आते हैं तो फिर काम खराब रहेगा। एक एक पेज को फोल्ड कर लें। इस तरफ से क्यों फोल्ड किया आपने? उस तरफ से फोल्ड होते हैं वैसे तो। हाथ तो फंसना ही नहीं चाहिए ना, ऐसे हाथ क्यों फंसा रहा है तू? अपना हाथ तो फ्री रख। अब हाथ फंसा के ही तू शॉर्ट हैंड लिखना चाहता, देख हाथ फंसा लिए, यानी कि इस हाथ से यहाँ बाजू पे वजन आया तो शॉर्ट हैंड की स्पीड ही नहीं आएगी। मैराथन क्लास डिक्टेशन स्टार्ट आफ्टर 5 सेकेंड। Mr. Vice Chairman, I am afraid I do not have adequate time. So I will pinpoint 4 or 5 points here and concentrate on defense production. I hope I shall not be mistaken in case I am critical about our achievements in the field of defense. There are several weaknesses which I am not going to narrate. Very many weaknesses, but 2 or 3 I will state. Sir, in 1963, the defense budget was about rupees 800 crores. Now it is rupees 1200 crores. At the rate of rupees 50 crores. Every year it has increased. I am not grudging it. We can even give rupees 200 crores, but we must see whether we are spending the money to assure ourselves that there is some profitability out of such spending, and we must also see that our Jawans are given the right tools. Given proper tools, our Jawan will certainly do a good job. In these circumstances, I say that as India is surrounded by hostile neighbors, we must spend more than what we have already allotted, and from that point of view, I can only point out some of the weakness in the production program. Though we are happy with regard to self-sufficiency about small arms production, still with regard to the major items there are several failures. You would have seen some of the reports that have been given by the statutory committee. They have brought forward many items. I will narrate one or two. About defense production, I would say that about 37% of the total outlay we are spending on pay and allowances, about 30% on stores, equipment and provision, about 2% on research and development. We all depend very much on research and development. Other members have already stated that we have to spend more money on it, otherwise many of the items we get from foreign countries will become outmoded. The points which I am going to highlight are one or two in number. We had started manufacturing a weapon for use against aircraft as early as 1990, and 21 years have passed, and the rate of production was supposed to be at least 8 weapons per month. What we produce is not even one weapon per month. What has happened now is that even the collaborating countries themselves have now given up that weapon because it has become outmoded, and they have switched on to surface to air missiles. The Defense Ministry has set up a committee to investigate the matter because what we have done is not satisfactory. Again, for examining the project as to whether it will be useful to us or not, another committee has been appointed. So, committee after committee has been appointed to examine the project. There is one other manufacturing agency which has been set up has proved to be failure. The third point which I wish to say is with regard to production of ammunition which was undertaken in 1957 in the hope that some Western country would come and help us. What has happened is that nobody has come to help. 13 years have passed and we are still in difficulty. So, these three cases indicate that whether it is know how or other things, we have to depend on other countries, and the other countries are not giving their know how. They want to get into production themselves and reap their own benefit. Therefore, several steps have to be taken. The first step is in research and development efforts will have to be stepped up. Ordnance factories have to concentrate on vital and critical items and leave other items to be produced by the civil agencies. No country has so far developed its industrial base for sustaining defense production programs with only public sector undertakings. They must have the cooperation of the private sector also. This will help us to have a proper base. Having known that other countries are not coming to our help, we must see that we take up some tasks immediately, one of which has been given by the Aeronautical Committee. The Defense Minister has not to clarify whether it is going to see that this come into the limelight when it is going to get off the drawing board of the HAL. I think he has not taken adequate steps to see that it fructifies. As far as the past performance of the aircraft is concerned, it is dismal. We are only going on developing the airframe at HAL without even an engine to power it. The last item which has been exercising the mind of every one of us is the nuclear program. About the nuclear program, the government has already decided not to go in for that. Sir, these lofty and sentimental ideas will never shield us from anybody having aggressive action against us. We must have nuclear weapons with us. It will act as a deterrent. I do not wish to say that they should make a declaration. If they have got that in their mind, at least they must see to it that it is done. Another point which I wish to make out is with regard to the field of missile technology. Facts have got to be taken into account. If you do not take the aeronautical reports and supersonic aircraft into consideration, we do not think we will run a race with any country. Sir, since you are looking at me as well as the time, I do not want to stand in your way, but the last thing which I wish to say is this. Many of our friends have already offered their tributes to the magnificent job that our Jawans, generals and colonels have done. Let us not belittle them. Even in the last war they did well. Then there was another question which I am sure must have been raised by my friends was the question of adult literacy. I completely agree, and as a matter of fact, this has been my conviction for many years that this country will not have full utilization of its human factor as long as such a large proportion of its population is illiterate. I think some kind of a crash program is required for this purpose. The Planning Commission in its final draft has recognized the importance of this problem and has put a paragraph about the need for doing something on the subject of adult education, and they are also helping them through national social service programs. We may be able to create literacy brigades and thereby involve the student community also in this problem of illiteracy. There are a number of other schemes which are also on the anvil, but quite honestly, I am not satisfied with the efforts that my government is making deal with the problem of adult illiteracy in this country. I think we have got to go in for much larger efforts, and those efforts cannot come merely by government finances. Much larger efforts are required by means of public participation and the participation of all literate persons in this country. What is needed is a campaign approach. As soon as I get myself free from some of the other problems with which I have been confronted in the last 2 months, I hope to spend some of my own time on the subject of literacy and see if it is possible to do something to make it more effective on the campaign basis with the cooperation and participation, I am sure, of all my colleagues in this house and in the other house, as well as the economists in different parts of the country. Sir, an honorable member referred to the question of Sanchi and said that conveniences are not provided there in Sanchi. This is because on the top of the hill there is no water. Water has to be taken now in pots. It is very inconvenient. There is no restaurant there. Only drinking water is made available, and that also has to be carried up there. We are now taking steps in consultation with the Ministry of Tourism to see whether pipeline can be fixed so that water is available, and once it is available, possibly there the question of canteen facilities, gardens and lawns will become possible. Incidentally, I may say that I am feeling convinced in my mind that while the Department of Archaeology is rightly under the Ministry of Education, the Department of Archaeology by itself is not able to provide all the face lifting, face modifications and face beautification which are required in order to make these archaeological monuments also centers of tourist interest, and therefore we are in consultation with the Ministry of Tourism and both of us hope to get together to discuss. Sir, I would like to see a young man becoming a new man who will reshape the future of the country. This is the biggest role that two people can play. The mass movement man who will improve the condition of work and also who will help in the reorganization of the society from that end, and the teacher who will guide the new man to come into existence. This is a very big role that he has to play. Unfortunately, this is not being done. Why? Who is responsible for it? I am not one of those who feel terribly worried when there is an agitation, something is rotten, and the students and the teachers are perfectly entitled to come out and see that these things are changed. In the last 25 years, we have inherited a system which has become a fetter in the future development of our country. It has to be broken. It is also to be broken peacefully. I would like to see that it is done. If it cannot be done like that, the only thing is to join the agitation and finish off this system, which has been a terrible obstacle in our country's progress. Now, from the elementary education up to the university education, almost everything is wrong. We have promised that we will see that every young man and every child in this country gets a proper education. Have we succeeded? No. Why it is so? We are not able to say anything positively. I would like to tell you that in most of the villages, there are people who cannot afford to send their boys for education. When education is free, they should be able to send them to school. But why is it that they are not sending them to school? It is because these children are necessary for agricultural labor and to help them to earn a better living. What do we see? 12 years old boys, 13 years old boys and girls also are partners in production in agricultural fields. They cannot afford to send them to school. In every village, there are two types of villagers. One type consists of those who do not have work and the schools are meant for them, and the other is those who do not honest work but can never get into the school. So I would suggest, as has been suggested by certain eminent educationists, that the school timing must be changed. The harvest period must be a period of vacation in the agricultural areas, so that at least the family gets a little income through these boys who are working in the fields. There is nothing wrong at all in making a living like that. It is not child labor. I am prepared to accept this system because he also learns and earns along with his work. Mahatma Gandhi's concept of labor oriented education will be successful in the villages, in the agrarian areas, if our boys are given education. Sir, changes are taking place in the villages. Agro industries are coming up, tractors are there in certain areas, tillers are there in certain areas, but when a tractor stops, it has to come to the town and the whole process is over. Tractor cannot be made use of. I would suggest that workshops should be opened with the help of the agriculture ministry, and in that respect the education ministry should have also a new understanding. They should see to it that these boys are all trained there. That will be very helpful. Agriculture can participate in it, industry can participate in it, education can participate in it. Thus, the boys will get good jobs in the village itself. A new kind of education craft centers will come up, so we can make use of agriculture and industry in certain areas, at least in areas where green revolution is coming up, where tractors are used in large numbers and new technical hands are necessary. Our boys who are up till now not having this kind of education will get that kind of education too. I would therefore suggest that we change the period of education in such a way that agriculture labor is in a position to attend these schools. Now, who should be the teacher? I feel that complete elementary education should be handed over. We are able to give a new atmosphere in the schools and in the classes. There should be some reservation of jobs for that section of our people who have up to now been denied proper representation in jobs. This is another suggestion which I want to make. Then an atmosphere of education can be further created by involving the villages in construction of school buildings. The best things will be to invite the people of that village to help them build a good school there. If a village is promised a high school and a college, students and villagers are mobilized for the work, unemployed young men are mobilized, and you will be in a position to see that the entire section of the village participates. School will be constructed with the help of the local people. Therefore, the problem of construction should be left to the panchayat of that village. Let there be bigger buildings for schools constructed with the help of these people. Let us not squeeze these people in the same building in so many shifts. Money must be collected in the form of cess from the villagers. Put a tax on them. If you are not able to collect money from the people in the form of tax, then there must be education cess from all those people. लिखी गई प्रांशल, पूरी लिखी गई, स्पीड ज़्यादा थी। और जो जैसे मतलब क्या कहते हैं, पढ़ी भी ठीक है, आंगा लग गया इसको पढ़ने में, ये लिखने में आंगा लगे हाथ, पढ़ने में भी आंगा लगे हाथ। एक रेशो में इसको जब 50 लिख डालोगे तो टेस्ट क्लियर हो जाएगा। आप लोग जो शुरू में जो पहले डिक्टेशन कर रहे थे ना, वो जैसे ज़्यादा अच्छे से नहीं कर रहे थे। अब जो मैराथन के साथ जब करोगे ना, शुरू में 5 से सुबह, और 6 की 6 इकट्ठी शाम को, और टाइप, और रात को 9 बजे एक अनसीन का टेस्ट। ठीक, से 8 बजे होगा टाइपिंग का टेस्ट, एक 9 बजे होगा अनसीन का टेस्ट, वो रहेगा 10 मिनट का। 10 मिनट का खाली अनसीन में टेस्ट रहेगा। 10 मिनट की कोई डिक्टेशन नहीं बोली जाएगी, 5-5 मिनट की बोली जाएगी, या फिर मैराथन बोला जाएगा। 10 मिनट का अनसीन होगा। क्लियर? लग जाओगे तब भला, ना लगा तब भला। तो यानी कि सारा काम आपके ऊपर है। इस क्लास में इतना है बच्चों, नमस्कार।